Let me play for you a clip of former President Bill Clinton getting some really tough questions 2 days ago. Play the Clinton for EJ.
I give 10% of my revenue off the top every year to the foundation. And Hillary, in the years she was there, gave 17. Over the last 15 years, I've taken almost no capital gains. And I've given 10% more to pay my bills, and because in the
regular working Americans look and say, $500,000 for a speech?
Well, why shouldn't it's the most independence I can get. I don't, if I had a business relationship with somebody, they would have a target on their back from the day they did business with me till the end. Any kind of disclosure is a target. But it looks bad. There's no facts, of course, but it looks bad. I work hard on this. I spend a couple hours a day just people like to hear me speak. And I have turned down a lot of them. If I think there's something wrong with it, I don't take it. And I do disclose who gave them to me so people can make up their own mind.
So she's now running for president. Will you continue to give speeches?
Oh, yeah. I got to pay our bills.
EJ, what do you make of that response?
I should have known you were going to play that for me. I should have thought about that. Two things on this. One is I basically like Bill Clinton and think he was a good president. Number two, I think he should stop giving speeches for the duration of the campaign. I think when anybody who makes money, makes significant amounts of money, talks to people who make a whole lot less money about how tough they have it, it just doesn't work. And that did not work well for Bill Clinton. It's interesting. He's such a gifted politician. He is so good at answering questions, but that clearly didn't work. And I'm not going to sort of pretend that it did.
But by saying it didn't work, do you think it actually hurts the former Secretary of State's campaign? And have they gone significantly backwards this last couple of weeks or since the Servergate began?
Well, I think it's a very interesting thing you're seeing in the polls. On the one hand, on some of the questions about trust and the like, she clearly has taken something of a hit, more obviously among Republicans. And I think part of her decline is simply Hillary Clinton going from a Secretary of State where some Republicans could say she's not doing a bad job to being a Democratic candidate where a lot of Republicans are just returning to where they'd be against any candidate. So that's part of it. Part of it is I think some of this stuff has hurt her. And yet, despite that, in the recent Wall Street Journal poll, she was 6 points up on Bush, 6 points up on Marco Rubio, 10 points up on Walker, and 3 points up on Rand Paul. So I'm not sure how much this has hurt her in the long run, but it has clearly been a rough, the bad news for her is this has been a rough couple of months. The good news for her is she's still ahead of the Republicans.
EJ, I have a friend who's a student of yours and was a student of yours and say you're a remarkably fair and gifted teacher in the classroom and you're very objective. I got to ask you, compared to her husband, compared to anyone else, how does Mrs. Clinton rate as a candidate? I mean, she's just not very good at this.
In my experience, she is very good in small groups. She's very good one-on-one. And the time that I saw her, the best of her, and honestly didn't realize how effective she was being myself, was in the last 3 days of the New Hampshire primary when all of us, including me, I should say, were awarding the primary to Barack Obama before he had won it. And she came out and won it. And it wasn't just because she had that teary moment. She was out there at these town hall meetings answering every question that came up. Now, to compare her to her husband, compare any politician to her husband, with a couple of exceptions. On your side, it's Reagan. On the Democratic side, it's Roosevelt or Clinton.
Oh.
So she's a nobody's Bill Clinton. But I think she has more talent than she's given credit for, particularly when she's on the ropes and particularly in small groups.